Hello everyone. This hour on Verbling. The next in my it's not getting results. No, the next in my Learning Through Pictures series, we're on the last part of our What's My Line unit, all about occupations, and we're going to be doing lots of reviewing of vocabulary we've learned, and we're going to channel all of that vocabulary into a story to help you remember the vocabulary and the location words that we've learned. Okay, but first a little bit about me. I'm John Eric, your Verbling teacher for this hour. I'm an American teacher from New York, hanging out in Lisbon, Portugal to bring you this class. By the way, here are 3 quick rules to help you participate. Don't forget to turn off, tune in, and open up, which means turn off your microphone when you're not speaking so we can keep the classroom quiet. Also, tune in to the new words you're learning. Use them actively so that I can correct you and give you feedback. And finally, open up to your classmates. Relax and have fun. We're all here to learn, and this is a safe and respectful place to practice your English. In today's class, we're going to start with a quick review of location words and also just how the class works. I'll go over that in just a minute. Also, if you don't have the material, I'm going to put 2 things in the chat window right now. The first is going to say notes, and I just pasted it for you. And the second one is going to say presentation, okay, because that's our main vocabulary in that presentation. I'll be sharing both of these with you on the screen. So if you don't have access to them, don't worry. Okay, so just to get started, let's see how this class works. There's 3 stages to learning through pictures. The first stage is how to ask about the pictures. As you can see, there are 3 stages to learning new words and learning through pictures. Stage 1 is called asking pictures. Stage 2 is pitching a story. Stage 3 is asking a story. So we'll try to do stage 2 and 3 in one class and stage 1 in the other. We'll start with getting the vocabulary, which we do through asking pictures. So the first stage lets us discover the vocabulary. You ask a question to your partner. He or she will guess the right word. When you are asked a question, do the same, but also try to repeat the words used in forming the question. That means location and descriptive words. So what I want you to do first is look at some of the question forms that we're going to use. So this is taken from our last class. I put these examples in the notes, but let me share them with you now. What is the person's job on the top left? What do you think her job is? So these are 2 forms of the same question. One is with is, the other is with do. What do you think the person is to the left of the painter? So that's a do question, which is really an is question. In fact, it's asking what is the person's job, but with this extra expression, what do you think? What do you think the person is? So as you can see, we're not just learning vocabulary, we're really refining questions, different forms of questions. In the next example, you can see, what does the person in the middle top row do? As you can see, the verb goes at the end of the sentence. What does is the first verb, then you have the main part and the description, do at the end. Same thing here. What kind of job does blah, 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 have? Now this time we have our third question form with have. When have is the main verb, do is the auxiliary verb. When do is the main verb, do is also the auxiliary verb. When is or was or were is the main verb, there is no auxiliary verb unless you want to add an extra expression. It's not necessary. So basically, we have 2 types of questions. Questions with the verb to be, is, was, were, are. And then we have all the rest. And all the rest is in the form of do, blah, 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 do, blah, 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 have, or does, blah, 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 do, that kind of form. There are other verb tenses that we can use, but for our purposes, we're not going to look at those because those won't be appropriate for describing pictures. So, just to finish up, let's go to the next slide where you can see the actual formula. So as you ask the questions, think about this form. What, could be what, when, where, how, plus the key phrase you want to use, and then the location words. And there's an example on the right. What do you see is the key phrase, and then location words like what do you see on the right, what do you see on the left, what do you see above, what do you see below. In the second box, you can add extra words like sort of, kind of, type of. What sort of thing, what type of thing do you see on the left? In the bottom, you can see some key phrases. What I've done is just reviewed those basic 3 question forms that we're going to be using. Be questions, do questions, and of course have and do are really the same type of question. But you can see an example for both. Be questions like what sort of thing is on the left? What do you think is on the left? Is it do? What do or what does the thing have on the left? So that's about possession. Okay, so you can refer to the slide as often as you like as we do the class. Here are some location words. You don't see the words, you see the pictures. In the last class, we reviewed these pictures and we elicited vocabulary. By the way, I just want to make sure we have a lot of reservations for the class, but no one's coming in. So, can everyone see and hear me? Okay. Please write in the chat box if you're having any trouble getting into the class. Is anyone having trouble entering the class? Okay, just write in the chat box if there's any trouble. I'm going to leave the class and come back because I just want to make absolutely sure that there's no trouble getting in for all of you. So I'm going to leave and re-enter. I'll be back in just a minute. Hello there.
Hello. Are you okay?
Yes. I left and came back because there was nobody in the classroom, so I thought maybe there was a problem. So I just left. And I just wanted to make sure there was no problem with entering the classroom. So I guess there was no problem.
Okay.
Well, yesterday is a big holiday in Europe, so a lot of people are probably on vacation, I guess.
What kind of holiday?
The 15th is a religious holiday, a Catholic holiday.
Oh.
So most people kind of go away for the weekend, so maybe that's why it's so quiet today. I don't know.
Is it a big holiday? Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I know, at least in Portugal, France, Spain, Italy, these countries, it's everything is closed and people are at the beach.
There are holidays in a row, yeah?
Well,
How many days holiday continue?
well, it's Friday. The 15th is the holiday.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, three days?
3 days, but then
Holidays in a row?
everyone takes their vacation at the same time. So probably they're probably gone for a month because they've got an extra day. If Friday's a holiday and they leave Friday, then they've got a month and a day. So that's probably, I don't know. Anyway,
And you haven't you no plans to go somewhere in a holiday?
Oh, teachers don't get holidays. Teachers have
You're a hard worker.
Teachers have the luxury of being freelance, and as a freelance teacher, you don't get holidays. Every day is a holiday.
Yes. I know it very much. Yes.
Yes. Well, let's see. Here's what my plan was. My plan was to take some things that we've done, put them together into one big story class, and to make sure that all of there's something that we didn't do very well in the past, which is this. Besides the stories, in the beginning of class, before you arrived, I went over some question forms, like you can see here. I tried to turn that into a formula, which you can see on this slide, to help remind everyone of the structure of the question. Because what we're actually doing is we're learning, for people that are beginners, we're learning vocabulary. But for more advanced people, what we're doing is revising the form of the question and learning prepositions. So this is the formula we've basically been using for the questions. So I went over that in the very beginning of class. We can look at it again if you like. And another thing that we should really do is, in previous classes, we looked at some prepositions, like in the last class, this was something that we did, revising words like above, below, over, under, next to, in front of, that kind of thing. But we haven't really done that with two-dimensional space. This is 3 dimensions, and these are good words, especially for pictures where you see 3 dimensions. But the moment we switch to 2 dimensions, like if you see a row of things, let me show you an example. Here, these pictures are all in a row. So the moment we look at a row of things, we need a different set of prepositions. So what I'd like to do is just make one definitive list of those prepositions and then put them into use. It's nothing we haven't done, but I've never really put them into one easily accessible place. So here's what I thought we might do. I'm going to open my notes right now, and I'm going to ask you where something is, right? I'm going to say the name of the occupation. This is all familiar because we've done it. But what you're going to do is try to describe where it is without repeating yourself. Every time you describe something new and use a new preposition, we're going to add it to the list, and I'll be happy to correct you as well if you want corrections. So let's see if this works. This was my plan, at least. And I'm going to just scroll down to, in my notes, give me a second here. What page is it? Hold on a second. Well, I can't see the page. My notes are still opening. It looks like it is on page... Oh, I don't have page numbers. Well, anyway, it's the page that says "What's my line?" I'm going to add a new section above where it says questions. It's going to be called, I guess I'll just call it prepositions. Prepositions for 2D. I made a little note there. Our prepositions for 3D, I already have those. I can just give you those if you like. But for these, I don't really have them in one place. So here's the plan. I'll ask you. You see how many of those location prepositions you can remember. Try not to repeat yourself. So here's an example. If I said, "Where's the diver?" how would you describe his position in the picture?
Deep sea diver is far is in the far left side of the picture. No.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. So I'm going to say at the far left.
At the far left in the picture.
Mm-hmm. At the far left in the picture. Yeah, that's okay. Actually, I'm going to take out in the picture because it's fine, but you don't actually have to say it. It's not necessary. But you can if you want.
Okay.
But I'm going to take it out for now. So at the far left.
So the deep sea diver is in at the far left of far left.
That's right. And the reason I say at is because this is two-dimensional space, not three-dimensional. Therefore, everything we see is at a specific point. Therefore, I use at. If it were in 3 dimensions, it might be different. We can talk about things in a more general way because there's more points. 3 dimensions has more points in space than 2 dimensions. Okay.
And he's in the upper row.
That's true. So he's at the far left. Now, if we put those two things together, not separate, but together, he's at the far left of the upper row. So do you understand why I said of here?
Yes. Yes. Now I know. He's at the first. He's at the far left of the upper row.
Right. Of the upper row. Right. And you can see this in the notes. If you want to go to the notes, you'll see Unit 9. What's my line? Prepositions for 2D, two-dimensional space, and you'll see I'm keeping notes there. Later, I'll add this to a presentation so we can review it quickly. So if you join those two prepositions together at the left with upper row, it's got to be of to show that the far left belongs to the upper row, of the upper row. Does that make sense? Can you hear me okay? Hello, hello? Hello, hello, hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Okay.
Do you hear me? I'm sorry. Maybe I have a problem in connection, maybe.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Now I hear you.
All right.
Clearly.
All right. So I'm going to also be careful because sometimes sharing my screen, I don't know, sometimes it gets, something goes wrong. I think I fixed my problems though, so it should be,
Yeah.
it's been okay for the last day or two. Let me get the
I
presentation
suppose
back.
using a Google document to give your computer burden. So it's a maybe so problem, isn't it?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I closed Google Drive,
Yes,
so
I think Google Drive sometimes
it's closed now.
have a problem. Hmm. Yes, yes. Now I.
So I'll add the notes to the document a little later. You said, oh, I was just saying that, remember, um, the reason I added of in of the upper row is just because you're joining two pieces of information together.
Okay.
If you weren't, you could say in the upper row. You could say that. But here, because we're joining it together, the of shows that one piece of information is part of the second piece of information. So there's a lot of explanation, but don't worry. The main point is at the far left of the upper row. And what about the bricklayer?
Bricklayer is bricklayer is bricklayer is next. I can't remember. Next is in the left, right side of the diver. No.
Well, let's do it like this. Because they're in a row and it's two-dimensional, we're going to say two possibilities. We can say, I don't want to say next to because that would be 3 dimensions. Right? I want to just say to the right of. In this case, to the right of the diver, the right of the deep sea diver. So the bricklayer is to the right of the deep sea diver.
Right.
To the right of, and I'll put it in the chat
to
window like this.
To the is bricklayer. The bricklayer is to the right side, to the right of a diver.
That's right. To the right of the diver.
Of
to
the diver.
Right. That's it. That's it. All right. Let's see. Now, do you remember how we talked about the middle? What about the composer? What about the? It's not the composer. Sorry, no. The conductor. What about the conductor?
Conductor is in the middle right of the upper row.
Fantastic. That's it. In the middle right of the upper row. And the engineer?
Engineer is in the middle left of the upper row.
Good. In the middle left. That's right. So I'll put those in the chat window as well. I'm just saying it's rather than he or she, but you get the idea. Imagine it's an object. It's in the middle right of the upper row. It's in the middle left. So I'm just sorry.
You say it.
No. I'm just saying it because I'm not talking about. I'm imagining that these are objects instead of people,
okay.
And then you can use any pronoun you want. It, he, she, doesn't matter. All right. So those were the main ones actually. To the right, to the left, in the middle right, in the middle left, upper. Okay. What about the optician? Now think about the optician in relation to the engineer. Think about the optician in relation to the engineer. Optician. The girl with the glasses. Optician.
Yes. Optician. Optician in the in the middle left.
Well, wait,
Uh,
that's right, that's true. But let's talk about her in relation to
sorry.
the engineer. Where is she in relation to the engineer?
Okay. Mm, mm, op, the optician.
Mhm.
The optician to the the optician upper the engineer.
Upper or she's not up, she's down.
So
All right? So
down to the
we can't say down to the, but we can say below.
below. Okay. The optician is is up is below the engineer.
Mhm.
In in the in the left in the middle left of the lower row.
Correct. That's a lot of information, but it's correct. I'm going to give you two versions of that in the chat window. One version is the one you said, which is fine, but it's long, and the other one is a shorter version. So you could also say the optician, or she, is below the engineer in the lower row. Now, I got rid of one piece of information, so of becomes in. Only because I don't have two prepositions together. So here's a quick model. It's below the X in the lower row. Now, if I want to put those things together, the two prepositions that you said, it is below the X in the middle left of the lower row. That's what you said, and that's fine. That's another way to do it, but it's more complex. So I'm going to give you the simple version and the complex version. The complex version is the second. It is below, or it's, oh, it's a mistake. I should say it is below, not its is. Forget, I made a typo. It's below the X in the middle left of the lower row, or it's below the X in the lower row. So you can see there that we use in if the location is totally separate from all the other locations. We use of when we want to combine two location words or two location prepositions. That's a little bit hard to explain, but does it make sense? Does it make sense when we use in and when we use of?
Yes, now
Yeah?
now it's clear.
Okay, very good. I think, oh no, we've got another preposition we got to cover. Now, look at the scientist. Notice the scientist is not at the far right. She's not at the far right. The waiter's at the far right. So how would you describe the scientist? Now this was one, I don't know if you remember the words we used, because in a Latin language you would say penultimate, but in English we don't use that very often. So I don't know if you remember the location words we used. Something very particular. But go ahead, what do you think?
The scientist, another proposition. You mean?
Yeah, it's different. Yeah. I'll give you a hint. I'll give you a hint. One way is to say second, remember, second to.
Okay. She's the scientist is in the second row, no?
Not the second row, but the last position is at the far right. The last position is at the far right. She's not in the last position. She's in the second.
Second from right. Right side.
Second to last. Second to last. Oh. So we could say she's in or at. At's a little bit better. She's at the second to last, and we're going to say place rather than position because it's more everyday language to say place. And so there's an example there in the that window. Whoops. Give me a second. It's at the second to last place. So in this case, it's a she. So we'll say she's at the second to last place. Last emperor? Why am I the last emperor? Why did someone call me the last emperor? I don't know what that means. We could say she's at the second to last place of the
And
bottom.
she's at the second to last place of the lower row.
Right. We could also say of the bottom row.
Oh.
That's another way to say it too. So you've got lots of choices here, right?
Yes.
None of these are wrong. So don't confuse yourself. You can stick to a basic set of vocabulary for the beginning and then later see how you can substitute things. So if it's easier to remember upper and lower, just use upper and lower. Later you'll see, oh wait, lower could be bottom and upper could be top. You could replace those with those words. So we've got second to last place. Now let's add one more variation. Let's say let's talk about not the scientist. Let's talk about the shoemaker. Let's talk about the shoemaker now. Where's the shoemaker?
The shoemaker at the second to last place of the upper row.
Right. He's at the second to last place of the upper row. That's true. Let me give you one alternative. He's at the one before last. He's at the one before last, or he's in the one before last. I guess you could say in or at. And another thing I wanted to add here, what was it? The one before last instead of second to last. And I wanted to say, oh right, of the top row. So that's an alternative to say top instead of upper. Upper and lower compares, right? This one is farther up, it's upper. But if I just say top and bottom, I'm not comparing them, I'm just stating where they are. So there's an example. X, Y, and Z is at the one before last of the top row. One before last place, of course, place or position.
Okay.
So we got lots of choices right now. We've got at the far left, at the far right, to the right of, to the left of, in the middle right, middle left, above and below, second to last or one before last, and we have top and bottom. I think that pretty much covers everything. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Do you think we got all the... Yeah?
I think it's enough to describe any situation.
Okay. What's the occupation of the person to the left of the optician, Yuki?
Sorry, your voice is cutting out.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Okay. What's the occupation of the person to the left of the optician?
To the left. To the left. Carpenter. The carpenter is to the left of the optician.
Who's left? On my screen, it's not a carpenter. On my screen, it's a surveyor to the left of the optician.
So I'm sorry. To the yes, yes, there is a scientist.
Huh?
No, scientist. No.
Number 8. Number 8 is a
surveyor.
Right.
There is a surveyor
to
the left of the optician.
That's it. To the left of the optician. Very good. Okay. what is the occupation? What's the job of the person? Let me see. 1, 2, 3. What is the occupation of the person? 1, 2, 3 spaces to the right. Listen carefully. What's the job of the person 3 spaces to the right of the engineer? 3 spaces to the right of the engineer. Which number am I referring to? 3 spaces to the right of the engineer.
I think there is a soldier
Good.
to
Three spaces
three space to the engineer.
to the right of the engineer.
To the right. Three
That's
space
it.
three space to the right of the engineer.
Good.
Right?
That's correct. So all I'm doing is taking the basic sentences that we have, and I'm putting in extra words. So all I'm doing is expanding the basic sentence. So when you're listening to directions, you're listening for that basic information, which is what is the job? That's what you're looking for. And then to the right, 3 spaces to the right, 3 spaces down the line from, but it's still to the right, to the left. So you're just looking for that basic information. The extra words, they're just expanding the basic frame that we have. So at least if I'm listening in a foreign language, I'm looking for those key words that will help me quickly process the sentence. So I think that's one good way to think about it. You know you're listening for to the right or to the left. You know you're looking for that, or above and below. The rest of it is just extra information. It's expanding the basic frame. So anyway, you got it. The soldier, or there's a soldier, 3 spaces to the right of the engineer. I could say 3 spaces, or I could say 3 places.
There's a soldier there's soldier 3 spaces to the right of the engineer.
Right.
Right?
That's correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and what's the job of the person? 5 places to the left and below the soldier. So listen carefully. 5 places to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And below. 5 places to the left and below the soldier.
I think there is a cook.
Cook.
There is 5 spaces to the left
and below.
And below of the soldier.
Below the soldier.
Below the soldier.
Right, there's no of there. Okay, good, that's it. That's absolutely right. So, it's not going to get any more complicated than that. That's about as hard as it gets. I can't think of another example. Okay, with that in mind, we've done a bunch of occupations. I'm going to come back to the occupations because I want to get the vocabulary too. But before I do that, let's take a look at something we haven't seen in a long time. Hold on a second. I got to find out where it is. One moment. Here it is. Let's take a look at something we haven't seen.
In this case, there is no need to add a preposition of.
Exactly.
There is a cook 5 spaces to the left below soldier. There is no need to say of.
There's no need to say of with below. Above the soldier, below the soldier. There's no need to say of in that case.
To the left below soldier. Yeah.
To the left. Yeah. 5 spaces to the left below the soldier. That's right.
Okay. Below the soldier.
I'm going to go back in time now. I'm going to share with you something that we did a long time ago. There it is. Now, hopefully, it's a little hard to see this, but hopefully you can see this on your screen. I know it's a bit hard to see the numbers. Later, I'll make a presentation out of this, and it'll be easier to see. But for now, I know the picture is a bit small, but we've got a street scene.
It will be a long time,
That's right.
Yes, I saw that picture last time.
It's been a long time, but I
Yes.
think it's a good picture. This one and the next one. Whoops, where is it? This one and this one are good. And the reason that
Yes.
they're good is because when we're talking about occupations, we can tell a little story about where people work. So it's good to review some things we've done in the past. Now we're dealing with three-dimensional space. So that means we can use our prepositions that we've learned, we can use them, but now we've got a whole new set of prepositions. Um, that for this three-dimensional space, we've got to actually take a look at these. These were slightly different. In this case, we actually have different prepositions for everything, so, right? Um, if I remember right, number one was on top of, and number two was underneath, because they're touching. So on top of and
Okay.
underneath, because they're touching the box. And then in 3 and 4, it was in front of and behind. In front of and behind. 5 and 6 is just like the two dimensions. To the left and to the right. Because they're not touching and they're not in relation to anything else. To the left, to the right. 7 and 8 was between and among. Between and among. For 8, I could say a lot of things. It's not that clear. I could say among, I could say around, I could say near. It's not really one answer for 8, but I said among because I want you to know that word. Number 9, I can't even remember. What was number 9? Number 9 was maybe near or next to. I think it was
Yeah,
near.
maybe.
Yeah. Numbers 10 and 11 would be, let's see, close to and far from, because we're comparing them. Close to and far from. Now, 11 and 12 are just like 1 and 2, but they're farther away. They're not touching the box. So what do you think 11 and 12 are? I'm sorry, no. 12 and
Beneath,
13. Beneath and
above.
beneath and above. I would also accept below and above. I'd accept it both. But the
Below.
point is, they're not touching.
Mhm.
So they're not underneath and on top of, but they're beneath or below and above. 14 is really easy. What's 14?
Uh, in the center.
Yeah, in the
No.
center. Yes.
Oh.
In the center.
Yes.
Now, of course, that's Russian, what you're saying.
Center.
It's not wrong. It's not wrong, but it's Russian. If you want to say this in English, you could say either in the center or, even better, in the middle of. In the middle of.
But the concept is the same in Russian. В центре.
Yeah.
In the center.
It's not wrong. It's not wrong. But if you want to sound more natural, you would say in the middle of the boxes.
In the middle.
In the middle of.
Ah.
So everyone will understand you if you say in the center. Everyone will understand you. It makes sense. But a native speaker would probably say, oh, it's there in the middle of those boxes. In the middle. Number 15 is the most important one you're going to find. Number 15 is really important because you've got like a street or a river, something between, right?
Mhm.
So, do you remember how we described the black ball in 15, by any chance?
Beside the river, no?
Yeah, but forget about the river. Don't mention the river. Just mention.
Across the river.
Yeah, but don't mention the
From-
river. Across from.
Across from the box.
Across from. Yeah. Now, there's another way to say it as well. You can say. Do you remember? It's up. Up.
Can't remember.
Opposite.
Opposite opposite side of the box.
Right. So the two ways are across from or opposite the box. No preposition, just opposite the box. Opposite, like the opposite side of the street. Opposite the.
There is no need to say of.
No, I don't think so.
Hello, teacher. How are you today?
Hello, Obaid. How are you?
I'm fine. Hello, Igoni. That's right.
Me? I'm John Eric. John Eric.
General, yes.
And that's
How are you?
Yuki. That's Yuki next to you.
Yuki. How are you, Yuki?
I'm fine. Thank you.
So, we're just reviewing some of the prepositions we've learned about location, which we're using to identify pictures in the story. Okay?
Okay.
So, what we're going in order. This is all a review. We've done this before, but what we're gonna do is take this vocabulary, and in the second hour, which is not next hour but the one after, we're gonna try to recycle this vocabulary into a story which will help you remember the occupations that we've learned, as well as the location prepositions like below and above, in the middle of. Number 14 is in the middle of. Number 15 is opposite the, like opposite the box, or across from. By the way, look at 16 and 17. Now there, it's easy because you can see stairs, so you've got one easy way to say that. So what do you think? 16 and 17. What's the easy way to say 16 and 17?
Me?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Number 17, I think upstairs.
Upstairs, right?
Yes.
And so what's the opposite?
Opposite, downstairs.
Of course. Upstairs, and so 16 is downstairs, 17 is upstairs. That's true. But Yuki, there's another way to say this if we use at. There's another way to say it using at. So what do you think 16 would be? Forget about the stairs now.
At the bottom of the stair.
Right. Or just at the bottom. Simply at the bottom. And so what do you think 17 would be then? What's the opposite of bottom?
At the top of the stair.
Yeah. At the top. Period.
Oh,
at the
yes.
top. There you go.
On, maybe on.
No, not on. At
Not
the
on.
top. Not
Yes.
on. Because that's a different concept. On could be in the middle of the stairs. On could be anywhere. On means touching. So here, there's only two possibilities. Downstairs, upstairs, at the bottom, at the top. If you want to say at the top of the stairs, you can say it, but you don't have to because it's clear if you just say at the top.
You mean we can use up when everything we can touch?
We can use on for anything that we touch. On, O-N,
Okay.
right?
All right.
18 and 19, oh, that's easy. 18 and 19 is easy. Obeyed, what do you think?
19 in the box.
In the box or inside.
Inside, yes.
Okay, and 18? What's the opposite?
Outside the box.
Outside the box or out of.
Out of. Yes.
Right. So we've got in the box or inside, outside or out of the box.
John, I have a question regarding
it.
16 and 17. If you say downstairs, it means I think movement. It's you describe movement.
Not necessarily. No,
No?
not necessarily. Because look, where is the refrigerator? It's downstairs, right? It's not moving. It's always downstairs. So it can describe movement, like I'm going downstairs, or it can describe a position. It's not
Okay.
necessarily movement.
Okay.
Because my kitchen is downstairs, my bedroom is upstairs. They're always downstairs and always upstairs. And Yuki, What about that red plank, that red board in 21? What's
Uh,
it doing?
that pole, that blink,
Uh,
uh,
I said plank, like a plank of wood.
blank,
I don't know what it is. That thing. I'm going to call it a plank. Look in the
that
chat window.
blank is lying on the,
Maybe sleep on the another one.
It's true. You can say on because it's touching. Okay,
Yeah.
you can say it. You can say it's leaning on the
leaning.
green wall. You can say that. It's perfectly okay. Here's a better word, against. Leaning against. Why do you think we say leaning against instead of on? On is correct, but against is better.
So
So
the red
Leaning.
blank is leaning against the wall.
That's right. The reason we say against is because the red plank has weight. It's heavy. And because the weight is a force is always used with for or against. Right? So because it has weight, it's leaning against. If it were very light, maybe it's a piece of paper. If it's a piece of paper, it's on the wall, like a poster is on the wall because it doesn't have very much weight. Does that make sense? If it's heavy, it's against. And I'm missing a page. There's actually another set of pictures, but I'm missing them. So anyway, so that's okay. That's all right. No problem. Let's go back to our street for a second. Now that you know some basic three-dimensional location words, let's see if you can tell me where the objects are in the picture, okay? Let me see. Where is the mailbox? The mailbox, by the way, is number 26. I don't know if you can see it. Where's the mailbox in this picture?
Mailbox is
The mailbox. Don't
the
forget
mailbox
Right.
is across the theater, across
Okay,
the
good. Across from the theater.
yes, across from theater,
The theater.
across from the theater,
That's
and
good. That's it.
next
That's it.
to the cafe.
Oh, okay, fine. Yeah, you don't even have to say that. If you say across from the theater, it's clear. But okay, yeah. It's across from the theater, meaning the movie theater. It's across from the theater next to the cafe. Very good. And obey it.
Yes.
What is the mailbox on? What's it on? Number 27. What's it on?
On beside the road, beside the road.
It's true that it's alongside the road. Not beside, but alongside the road. Along because it's a big distance there. That line travels for many meters, so we say alongside. If it would be beside if it was just one little point. But obey it.
Yes.
Listen to my question carefully. What is the mailbox on? On top of? What's it on? What's number 27 in the picture? What's number 27?
This is on, but I can't know what the name of all. What I can call this? Maybe 2 meters or
Exactly.
two.
What? It's
I
not a
don't know.
street. It's not a street, right? Because the street is where the cars go.
Yeah.
So where do
Not-
people go? Where do people go?
Yes. I didn't know really.
Okay, no problem. Yuki, what would you say for 27?
Sidewalk.
Okay, good. Yeah. So there's a lot of ways you can call it. In American English, sidewalk. Obey it. Sidewalk. It's on the sidewalk. There's British English, which is footpath. British English, footpath.
Sidewalk.
Sidewalk, American English. That's right. Sidewalk.
I think there is another version. Pavement.
American English also, pavement. So we got sidewalk, we've got pavement. This is basically U.S. English. And then we've got footpath, and we've got, there's another one. What did I say? I
Is
forgot.
pavement US English? I think UK English, no?
Oh, it is? Oh, maybe I'm wrong. We say it too, so I don't know. Maybe you're right. There's also something called a walkway, which is not necessarily on the street, and it's not necessarily paved, but it's a word you might want to know. Anyway, I'm going to go with sidewalk for this picture. Okay, so what do we have so far? The mailbox is across from the theater on the sidewalk. Where is, oh yeah. Where is the, where's the hydrant? Yuki, where's the hydrant? I'll give you a hint. Number 16. Where's the hydrant? Hydrant. 16.
Hydrant, yes. Hydrant.
The hydrant.
The hydrant is it's at the far end of the street, far right, at the far right of the street, in front of the theater.
Okay, I agree with everything except one thing. If you say of the street, well, I see 3 streets, so I don't know what street you mean. So if you say in front of the theater, then I understand. It's okay. So, but anyway, so I would say, yeah, the hydrant is at the far right end of the street. Do you notice how I add the word?
In front of the poster, on the curve of the...
On the curb. Very good.
On the right.
That's right. On the curb. It's right on the curb. Obey it. Do you see the curb in the sidewalk? The curb is that little space where the sidewalk rises above the street. We call that the curb. Where your car is parked is the curb of the street.
This is number 16. Fire.
Yeah,
fire what?
Fire hydrant. Hydrant.
Hydrant.
Hydrant. Like that.
Hydrant.
That's right. And it's on the curb. On the curb. Because the curb is the edge of the sidewalk. It's the barrier between the sidewalk and the street. So that's the curb. Does that make sense? Obey it.
Yeah, on the curb, yes, between
On
the
the
sidewalk and the street.
Fantastic, right? Between the sidewalk and the street is the curb. Okay, obey it. I want you to tell me where the, what do we call that in English? I'm forgetting the name. Where the trash can is. Where the trash can is. Tell me where the trash can is in relation to the hydrant. The trash can is number 15. Do you see where it is?
15.
So look at the hydrant
Yes.
and tell me where the trash can is in relation to the hydrant.
Inside the road or inside the street.
Not inside the street, no.
Through-
Are you looking at 15 or are you looking at 19? Look at 15.
Yeah, I mean 25. Sorry.
Oh, 25. No, don't worry about 25. Look at 15.
15, I think, hang on the light.
Exactly. So it's hanging from the street light. Hanging from, if you want to say it like that, hanging from the street lamp or street light. That's true. And Yuki, think about it in two-dimensional space.
Mhm.
Compared to the hydrant, Yuki, what would you say? Compared to the hydrant, it's...
The trash can is near the
Yeah, but
near the hydrant.
if you wanted to say left,
To the
how would
left?
you... Yeah,
It to the left of the hydrant.
fantastic. So it's to the left of the hydrant, hanging from the street light. To the left of the hydrant, hanging from the street light. So we got lots of
Between the poster and light.
between the poster and the street. Hey, Obaid, what's right below the curb in front of the theater? Can you see what's right below the curb in front of the theater? Do you see which number I'm talking about, Obaid? What's right below the curb in front of the theater?
No. Where is it?
Look at 19. Look at 19.
19. Yeah, the hole in the street.
It's not a hole in the street. It's not called a hole in the street.
This is for when running water or bathroom or toilet.
Yep.
But
That's
I don't know what is it calling.
What do you think, Yuki? What would you call number 19?
I don't know.
There's more than one word for that thing, by the way. More than one word.
Wash drainer? No, I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, drain is one word. You could
drain.
you could say it's the drain. That's one word we use. Drain.
Drainage.
Water drain.
You could say drain, yes.
Drainage system.
If you want to talk about the system, sure. But we just see one little object, so we're going to say it's either the drain, you call it also the grate, because it has those bars on it, so it's a grate. It's stopping objects from falling down and letting the water pass. So we can say the drain, the grate.
I think great like hi or hello.
No, it's the right word. It's another choice. It's another choice. And we could say what's the other word we would say? Of course, the system is a sewer, right? The whole system is the sewer system. So it's part of the sewer. But we don't actually see the sewer. The sewer is below that street grate or that street drain. And if there's another word, it'll come to me. There's probably another word we could say. Okay, I'll tell you what. We have to stop now because there's another class beginning. In 1 hour from now, I'll be back. And what we're going to try to do is to take our occupations, take our locations, and put them together into a little story to help you recall all of these keywords that we've learned. Okay, so I'll be back in 1 hour for that. You can keep these links in practice if you'd like, and then we'll see how our story goes. I'll help you create the story in class.
Thank you for the class. It was very useful.
Thank you, teacher. Thank you.
I'm going to turn all of our prepositions into a presentation so that we've got them in one place for the future to help you. Okay, bye for now. See you soon.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.